This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Time to talk to Palm Beach Gardens' own Bob Baumhower, the 5-time Pro Bowler, and of course one of the Killer Bees, and a friend of mine for a long time. Since I go to Mobile every year, he takes care of us as always. Hello, Bob. How you doing, my man? How you hanging in there this morning?
Hey, we're hanging in there. Big O. It's good to talk to you. Good to hear your voice. You sound great.
It's always good. Thanks to you, my brother, because that oil you turned me on to changed my life, man. That is, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
I hear you.
That thing made. I try to turn everybody onto that thing since that moment, and I have, and then people realize how amazing of a product that is. So you, sir, are a stud. Thank you, sir.
Well, you sound great. You sound super.
I appreciate it, man. Well, it's good, too, because I'm kind of, I only do work with Sirius, and I've got my own show going on now because you know how it is now, Bob. It's an on-demand world. People go home, and it's Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and all that, and their music is on demand. So a lot of their talk is now becoming on demand, and so we got it growing now on our show. So it's pretty cool to like kind of control everything, and I don't have a boss.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you're correct. Things are changing. Changing for a lot of us.
Yes. Yeah. Well, especially how's this COVID thing? Because I know you got a ton of restaurants, and so this has got to be affecting you in a big time way.
Yeah, it is. We're doing the best we can. My oldest, Spencer, is doing a great job. He's our VP of operations, and we're doing the curbside service, Big O. But we added another component to what we're doing. We're selling groceries, and so you can come to Baumhower's and get curbside service for everything from fresh, skinless, boneless chicken to bread, milk, beer, you name it. And so that's helped us a good bit, but we're not where we need to be as far as sales, and hopefully we can stick around long enough to get to the other side. Alabama has not opened up their restaurants yet, and we're not sure when that's going to happen, but like everybody else, we're just trying to get to the other side.
I feel you, my brother. This is something that's crippling the world, and that is the absolute truth when it's all said and done. So, talk to me about yesterday morning when you got the news. Where were you? How did it hit you?
Well, it hit me hard, Big O. I lost my dad a couple weeks ago, and he was living with me, and he was my best bud. And, he was down there with me he was always down there. He loved the Dolphins. And last week I called Nat Moore and asked Nat if there was any way that he could help me arrange for me to come down and see Coach Shula. I kind of wanted to say thank you to him for all the opportunities he'd give me. And Matt had arranged that last week. And we were going to come down after the pandemic and I was going to bring all the kids. I've got 4 kids, and I met my wife down there. I get in the restaurant business because of a relationship with Eddie Houck there at Wings and Things in Fort Lauderdale. I've just got all these great things going on in my life, large part because of the opportunity that Coach Shula gave me. So when I heard what I heard yesterday, it was just an even bigger shock because I had been planning to come down to see him and just catch up a little bit because I haven't done a good job of that. And so it hurts. And, it's just one of those things that, like you said, I remember exactly where I was. And it's like a barrage. I heard from different people here in my office at the same time. I was getting texts and phone calls, and it'll be one of those things you never forget.
Yeah, I definitely imagine. What was the, I asked Larry this a little while ago. We had Larry Little on, and I'm wondering what was the first memory that came to your mind? The second you got the bad news, what was the first Shula memory to your mind?
Really, it was related to when Mike was up here, and we got to spend a good bit of time off and on. As far as Coach Shula coming up to support Mike when he was coaching Alabama, and I saw a different side of Coach. I saw the proud father up here. Down there, you saw the guy that was the legendary head coach, and then you saw also, you saw the sense of humor that he'd have from time to time, and all those type of things. But I saw up here a really proud dad who loved his kids a lot, and he came up to me one time ago and said, "Hey," and we did a cruise up here called Cruising with the Tide, and Mike always went with us on the cruise with about 400 fans. And Coach Shula pulled me aside one time and he said, "Hey, I really appreciate you being supportive of Mike up here." And he was just a proud dad. And I've been thinking about his family and how close they are, and all the things that go along with that, because I just lost my dad. And and obviously, like I said earlier, I was in shock because we were planning on coming down in a few weeks to see him.
I mean, that's got to be that's one of those where you kind of, I'm sure you're questioning yourself and going, why didn't I do this earlier? And now I don't get to see him. But I mean, you can't do that, man. You can't do that. You can't do that, Bob. You know how it is. Life is crazy, man. Life pulls us in 8,000 directions. And dude, anybody that knows you, Bob, you're running like 8 businesses there, man. I mean, come on. I don't even know how you stay sane with all the things you've got going on. Seriously.
It's tough sometimes. But I got to tell you, I talked to AJ earlier, and we were talking about Coach, and he was such a positive influence on anybody that wanted to be better, anybody that wanted to be part of something that was special. Coach Shula gave you the opportunity and supported you in that opportunity. And so it's just tough. With the experiences that I've had through my life, whether it was, I got to meet Coach Shula, Big O at the Senior Bowl. He coached the Senior Bowl my senior year in college, and actually AJ and myself together. And then I believe it was because of the Senior Bowl and getting to know Coach Shula and Coach Gary and the coaches there that AJ and I were their first 2 draft picks in 1977. So, whether it was that experience where he gave us the opportunity from what he saw at the Senior Bowl, or whether it's the opportunity, I'd never played nose guard before I went to Miami, and Coach Gary and Coach Shula and Arsbarger talked me into playing nose guard from the nose tackle from the right perspective, from a perspective that you want to be good at it, because I did not want to play that position. And I started every single game of my career with the Dolphins at the nose, which doesn't happen a lot of times. And Coach Shula, and they put me in that position. I don't think I would have had the career that I did if I did play defensive end or another position. So there's a lot of reasons for somebody like me to be appreciative of everything that Coach Shula gave me an opportunity to experience.
We're talking with the great Bob Baumhower here on the program. And Bob, walk me through how did Shula balance intimidation and motivation? Because it's 2 different things. You're trying to achieve the same thing, but sometimes they're 2 different roads. So how does he balance? How did he balance that?
Well, I got to tell you, I think I have a unique perspective, as does Dwight and Tony Nathan and Dominic. We came from Alabama playing for Coach Bryant. And when you talk about intimidation, the intimidation just came from the presence of being with someone that was so successful and just absolutely so gifted at being able to do the things that they did, and you just wanted to be a part of it. And I just wanted to be able to be somebody on that team that Coach Shula felt was a positive part of, and that was to win Super Bowls. So from a balancing point of view, because of him being the head coach and him being Don Shula, and at that time, my rookie year, he was the Dolphins were, as the 70s were concerned, in my book, high school, winning Super Bowls and going undefeated. So to me, it was just the intimidation piece with him. I don't know that I was intimidated as much as I just really, really wanted to be able to meet nations because of, the guy was the best. And so, he was tough, no doubt. You didn't be on that sideline if things didn't go well. But we knew he cared about us, Big O. We knew that he was driven to a place that most people never get to go to, and he accomplished that. And so I think it depends on the way you look at things. I look at all of that. And he was tough, demanded a lot out. But I look at that as all a positive, and I just
tackle, or I can Jim Jensen goes from backup quarterback to absolute stud third down dude, moving the chains all over the place. The Woodstock thing in order to get to the Super Bowl with those two guys. This year, I saw Brian Flores pull a Shula-like move with Eric Rowe, who can't cover anybody, but yet they figured out a way that, hey, this guy can cover tight ends. And he might struggle a little bit as a corner, but damn, as a guy covering tight ends, he's pretty good. So he found a role for the kid. Right. And Shula was so good at finding roles for everybody else. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, maybe the best of all time was putting AJ at linebacker. Yeah. And that got us to the Super Bowl in 1982. I don't know if anybody's ever had a game better than AJ doing in the AFC Championship against the Jets. And you got a guy that came into the league with me as a defensive lineman, and he's intercepting 3 balls, running one back for a touchdown, and the AFC Championship because Shula put him in linebacker. Right. I mean, he was the best. And again, that was just part of what made it so rewarding to play for a guy like that. I mean, AJ's a great example of that. He put AJ in a position to be AJ Due, and you can't say enough about that. If you'd allow me, I'd like to tell you, I got to know Coach Flores a little bit at the Senior Bowl. Big O. Yeah. Really, really, really sharp guy, and I'm really excited about what he's doing. And you see the way they were playing at the end of the year, and you're talking about a what do you call it, a Shula-esque move? Yes. I think Coach Flores has got a plan, and he's working the plan. He's disciplined. A lot of reasons for Miami Dolphin fans to be excited right now with what he's doing. Just give you my 2 cents on what's going on there with Coach Flores and his coaching staff right now.
And let me tell you, Bob, I've been ripping this team for 20 years. It's the first time that I actually feel like, wow, real football people are in place. They're doing things that football people do, like, getting rid of bad salaries, building the team from inside out. Wow, what a shocker. I mean, wow, common sense. Let's go draft a bunch of offensive linemen and D linemen because we need to win the battle in the trenches. And they drafted Tua, so they take the chance. They got Rosen last year, so they're trying to get a quarterback every year. I mean, everything about what Chris Greer and Brian Flores are doing, Bob, it just makes football sense, dude. That's the thing that I love, because the last 20 years – they kept doing shit that didn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, I got to meet him in Mobile, and just I'm a fan. I tell you, he's very, very, very sharp guy and gets it. And I think Miami's in for a nice ride here as far as if he has anything to do with it. I mean, they need to let him do his job, and I think Miami's going to be in great shape.
I can ask you for a moment where Shula made you feel small, and I'm sure you can tell me about several of those kind of moments. Give me a moment where he made you laugh.
Oh, he made us laugh a lot of times, and I got to tell you, as far as making me feel small, I really never had that experience with Coach Shula. I mean, he'd get upset, but usually when he'd get upset, he was upset for good reason. And again, I had a perspective, whether it's from the way I was raised or, being in Alabama or whatever. But as far as making me laugh, Coach Shula was just, he never forgot where he came from, and he could relate to us. And whether it was, he was just very, very in tune with us. And I used to get a laugh because when we go play Buffalo in every year, he'd make comments about don't be eating too many of those buffalo wings. And that snack, Nat Moore would go, I think he was going to the Anchor Bar where they came from, but Nat would go out and get or arrange for all these buffalo wings to be brought to snack. And that was something that we did the night before game when Coach Shula was coaching. And that would have those wings brought in, and they're buffalo wings. They're hot, spicy, going to give you indigestion or whatever. Coach Shula would, well, I thought I told you no buffalo wings. And then he'd turn around and said, bring them over here. I want some of them. We'd all start eating buffalo wings the night before the game when we played Buffalo. There was just a lot of times like that when he could take a moment and make it fun and light, and he would do that. We were playing the New York Giants my rookie year, and Larry Zonka was playing for the Giants at the time. And it was at that same function at Snack the night prior to us playing the Giants, and it was in preseason. And Larry had snuck into the room with all of us, and he just randomly stood up to ask a question of Coach Shula. Coach Shula goes, "What the hell are you doing in here?" And he goes, "Get over here and give me a hug." And there's just a lot of those type moments where he made you feel like $1 million because he was genuinely glad to see you. And I know a lot of players have that same experience with him. He was tough, like you said, and he could be tough, but we knew he cared about us.
The great Bob Baumhower joining us here on the program. By the way, you can follow him on Twitter at Bob Baumhower. And Bob, how did Shula react when you guys were in the Bumblebee uniforms?
I think he took it all in pretty good. I tell you, we didn't really know how to react when we did it. We were kind of asking ourselves at the time, "What are we doing here?" And but he took it. I mean, like I said, he had a good sense of humor, and I think he was enjoying the moment as much as we did, because at the time the Dolphins were winning a lot of football games, and the Killer Bees were doing a good job for him. And I think he appreciated what we were getting done, and I never heard anything from him as far as that's concerned. He might have made some comments to some other guys, but I never heard anything.
How about Arnsberger? How did he respond to that?
Who, Arns? I think Arns was okay. I mean, I will tell you that like most great coaches, they did not want distractions. You come to practice and you're there to prepare to win the next game, or you come to training camp, you better be in shape and you better be ready to go. They didn't like distractions, but at the same time, I feel like Coach Shula and Coach Arnsberger, they knew their players. They knew the ones that were giving them 110%, And there was times where, I mean, we had fun. They'd allowed us to have some fun too. And like I can tell you, my rookie year, AJ and I we like to return kickoffs during practice just because we had too much energy, and we would be on the scout team for kickoff return, and they'd let us get in the back there and run kickoffs back, even though they had to have a calendar to clock. But the coaches back then, they allowed us to have fun too. They had fun as well. It was an amazing experience. They were good people. Coach Shula had really good people around him, and we all cared about each other.
Well, the way you feel about Flores, and so do I, and Greer and what they're doing, that's the one thing I was talking about with the audience yesterday that I wish Shoes could have hung on a little bit more just so he can see the turnaround, because sadly, they've kind of destroyed everything he built for 30 years in this place. And they're a shell of what they used to be, but I think these guys are going to bring it back, and I really would have loved to see Shula watch this come back again. Would have been nice.
No, he would have enjoyed it, and I don't know who's making the calls down there. I'm up here just doing my head fry cook thing, but I'll tell you what, Coach Flores, he's the real deal, and I think he's going to do a great job. Met a lot of his coaches; they were super. They came up to Dolphins, Big O, for dinner, and Spence and I went in there to my oldest went in there and spent a little time with them, and just really, really sharp people.
I love it. I love it. So when's Dolphins coming down to South Florida?
I'm coming down in a couple of weeks to look at a place. We might do a place, and I'd love to do a Dolphins. Actually, I think it was Nat that came up to look at Dolphins. We were thinking about doing one down there, and for your listeners, Dolphins is a fine dining type restaurant, so it wouldn't compete with Bo or Brew or anybody like that. But we're coming down to look at a little place in Fort Lauderdale that would be kind of slightly different. But we might have a restaurant down there in the not too distant future, Big O.
Yeah, well, you know that I'll be here and I'll be ready to support it, my friend, as I always do, and I always appreciate you taking some time to talk to us and talk a little Dolphins.
Well,
go ahead. What were you going to say?
Thank you. Just thank you for letting me, remember Coach Shula. I mean, there's not enough I can say to let folks know how much the opportunity to play for him and to work with him, and all of the different relationships, AJ and Doug Better, all the buddies that we have now, and all the relationships that we have. I mean, it just comes from him giving me an opportunity to come down there and play, and I just can't say enough about how much that means to me.
Well, it means a lot to all of us that are listening, that love the Dolphins, and the fact that you took the time during this difficult, time of losing Coach Shula to come on and talk about him. We definitely appreciate it, my friend. And I always appreciate your friendship, and look forward to seeing you. Give me a ring when you're down here, okay?
Yes, sir. Okay, Big O. You be good. Be safe. Be well.
You got it, baby. You be good. Thank you, Bob.
Bye-bye.
You got it. There you go. The great Bob Baumhower, man. How about that? He is absolutely awesome, man. Good stuff by Bob. Appreciate him taking the time to join us.